Morning, Monday, September 22nd, 2025. I'm Larissa. This is my fat bitch diary. And it's time to drink from skulls. Time to drink from skulls. Ah. So this past weekend, Omar and I had fun, I guess. I don't know. As much fun as we can have in our lives. We can't go on vacation or go anywhere for more than like a day because our house routinely gets broken into. So, like, we also have Brody to be worried about because we can't leave him home all day. Like, we could go somewhere for a weekend and take him with us, but then that totally leaves the house unprotected, right? Yeah. And it's not good for him to be alone. So, we don't really get to go much of anywhere, do much of anything, right? So, Saturday we went down to Carmel and looked at some art, and I got to be art nerdy with people, you know. Got to go be art nerdy. I don't have anybody to be art nerdy with. Oh, oh my goodness. And we had a nice brunch when we were down there. And then, I came home and I made dinner. I mean, I had soup in there that was left over. So we had the lemon chickpea spinach soup. And then when we were in Carmel, the last place that I stopped was the cheese shop there where you can taste cheeses. Right. I got a couple fancy cheeses. I got a couple fancy stinky French cheeses. Yeah. So I made, and I got a nice real soft ciabatta loaf, right? So I toasted that, right? And put the stinky cheese on there with pickles. Oh, it was really good. And then last night, we had the other half of the ciabatta with the other cheese that I got, the other soft cheese. Yeah. And I sauteed spinach and put it on. So I toasted the sandwich, the ciabatta. I sprayed it with olive oil and drizzled a little bit of truffle oil on it. Oh, yeah. And some cracked black pepper. I toasted it till it was nice and crispy. Yeah. And then I smeared the stinky cheese on it. Some big old long French name, some French cheese made with raw milk. It was all stinky, gooey. It was good. Smeared that all over, right? And then I put sauteed spinach on top of that, and then sliced tomato and sliced onion, real thin, and bread and butter pickles. And I got this Peruvian, it's ají amarillo sauce. So ají amarillo it's this yellow chili, yellow pepper that grows in Peru, whatever. And I have some down there dried, whatever. There's an ají amarillo sauce in some Peruvian cooking. Anyway, I had never seen it in any form other than powdered at the Oaktown Spice Shop, right? And I saw it at the grocery store, or at a market that I was in. A sauce has a llama on the front of the bottle. It looks like mustard when you squeeze it out, but it's not mustard. But it's not quite as spicy as like hot sauce, right? Anyway, I put that on there too. It was good. And I had that with tomato soup last night for dinner. Yeah. That's what we had. I'm going to get up here in a little bit and make a quiche today. I'll make a spinach and Monterey Jack quiche. Yeah. 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 And yesterday, before I made dinner, we went out. Went to the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk. I was a little upset. They got rid of a bunch of machines including the claw machines that had the dinosaurs. No more dinosaurs. I can't get any more dinosaurs at the boardwalk. What? And they got rid of a bunch of classic machines. Well, at least they still have Mortal Kombat. But it really, I mean, and they must have sold these machines because they bought some new ones. And they're awful. They have awful Disney shit in them. And they have all these like casino chips and shit in them. It's like, these are no fun. $2 to try to get a mini whoopee cushion? Ew. Who needs that shite? At least you'll play with dinosaurs. Ugh. Anyway, I was really bummed about that. Really bummed. Really, really bummed. Where did the dinosaur machines go? Who bought them? I will go there. I will go there and play the dinosaur machine. Who has those machines? Dinosaurs. I want the dinosaurs. Anyway. And then we went and got pumpkins. We got pumpkins because I had to... Oh, it's equinox today. Happy equinox. Happy 50-50 day, right? It's also my shitty sister's birthday. But anyway, I always dress my altar for fall or on over the equinox, and we went and got pumpkins and stuff for the fall decorations in the house. Yeah, a bunch of pumpkins. So there's this farm. It's been the Rodini farm out off Highway 1 in Davenport, out past Wild Ranch, going up towards Half Moon Bay, but not there yet. Not even to Pescadero, right? Davenport is in between Wilder Ranch and Pescadero. So, I did a photo essay of Pescadero one time. I did, years and years ago. Pescadero, little town, little coastal town. Anyway, Rodini Farms, they've been there since the 20s, 1920s. It's like 1928 or something, right? And I've gotten pumpkins there every year since we've been in Santa Cruz. But when we first moved out to California, I used to buy pumpkins there. When we were living in Silicon Valley, that's where we used to go to get our pumpkins. So when we moved that's how I knew where to go. When we moved here to Santa Cruz, I'm like, oh, here we are in Santa Cruz. I'll go up to Davenport, get me some pumpkins at the Rodini Farms. Yeah, and they have other stuff at they have a little farm stand. They have other produce that they sell, and then they have some canned goods that they sell as well. And Omar, I think it's these. They make these spicy pickled quail's eggs. I don't particularly like quail's eggs. They're a little gamey.
What?
Are you clean?
Yep.
All right. Senor, are you going with Daddy? Anyway. Look at him. Hey, Brody. Brodaloda ding dong. Dingus kerplingus. Brodalingus. Hey, Brody. Brody, are you naughty? Brody, are you stinky? He is stinky. Yesterday, I got a whiff. I was like, what is that? It's not that cheese. It doesn't smell like good stinky cheese. It smells like stinky dog. It was a stinky dog. Yeah. Anyway, so we went and got pumpkins. And it looks real pretty. I do. My altar in my dining room that has my big stones and stuff on it. And I changed the table setting and stuff. You know, I have these candles, these corn shaped candles, and I have a little pumpkin shaped candle, and that's what I use to set my table. That's like the little centerpiece of my table, and I put a couple pumpkins on the altar. And then our hearth in the main room, that's right with the big pumpkins. Is on the big hearth of the fireplace. And that's also when I clean, we dust the fireplace and everything. I only dust the fireplace a couple times a year because it's like a pain in the ass. It's a real pain in the ass. All this stone and everything. Oh, I tried to find some place to clean it the one time, but nobody wanted to come clean it. Like it needs to be pressure washed, scrubbed kind of thing. And it'd be involved, like everything needs to be masked off around it, right? And then it needs to be scrubbed. It'd be amazing if it was cleaned, right? Because the quartz granite is like almost pure white. And so like the foundation of the house and the fireplace and all that, originally when it was installed, was pure white. Oh, oh well. Oh well. Yeah, just a big old dirty, dusty, cobwebby, spider infested earth. Yeah. So that's what I did yesterday. That's what I did. Yeah. My shitty sister. Both my sisters, I think of them both on their birthdays, and I never fucking think of me, I'm sure. You know, I used to like go out of my way and send birthday cards to everybody, right? I knew when everybody's birthday was, my sisters, their husbands, nephews, everybody. I used to send like, oh, my grandma Rose and my auntie mom both taught me to do that, right? Like my grandma Rose always had, she had her calendar that was in the kitchen area that she put like all their doctor's appointments and stuff on, but then she had another calendar that was in her office. And it had everybody's birthday. And she had everybody's birthdays. You'd open the cupboard above where her cutting board was next to the sink. And inside the cupboard was this chart that was taped. She had taped in there that had everybody's birthday, right? Yeah. No, so I used to keep track of, remember everybody's birthday and send birthday cards because she's like, it's really a nice thing. Let people know that you're so glad they're alive, blah, 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 and that you remember. And I just kind of got like, oh, who cares anymore, you know? It's like nobody returned the favor for me. And I remember the year that I decided that I stopped sending birthday cards. And it was when we were living in Oakland and living at the cotton mill. And my birthday, I was really sick on my birthday. I had the flu or something. I was really sick. And it was something like it was something I had for like a week, right? Like and because of that and because of Omar's work schedule, we didn't get to do anything for my birthday. You know, no birthday dinner or nothing, even just for the two of us kind of thing. So when that happened, I said to him, because I was, you know, planning all the openings and the events for the gallery that year. I mean, his birthday's in March. It's so it's, you know, like it's like a month after mine. Because my birthday is late in January, and his birthday's early in March, March 1st. And I was like, oh well. I said, how about this? How about this? How about when your birthday comes? Because that was when I was going to have the next opening at the gallery there, because that's when I had the gallery in Oakland. I said, we'll do an event and we'll celebrate both our birthdays. And I can't even remember what everything was, but there was a fundraiser for something like, you know, and it was we were celebrating our birthdays together because I didn't get to celebrate because I was sick. Well, my mom calls to wish him a happy birthday. She hadn't called to wish me a happy birthday, right? And I answered the phone and she's like, "Oh, what are you guys doing?" And I told her what we were doing. I said, "Oh, I'm you know, we're having this opening event." And because I was doing like these, they were oh, they were like multidisciplinary kind of things. They were other than the F3 events, the big building wide events. I was doing openings at the gallery where it's like, okay, you come and there's somebody who comes and does some sort of performance, whether it's acoustic music or poetry or comedy. I had a bunch of comedians come in and do stand up um, for gallery openings, right? And one time I hosted it was a big poetry event because I'd been published in Tricycle. Anyway, or I wasn't published in Tricycle. I was published in a publication by Tricycle. So it was a poetry group I was part of. I don't want anybody thinking I'm saying trying to pump up my CV with any kind of lies, right? You know. So anyway, it was one of these kinds of events, and it was also a fundraiser for something. I don't even remember what. I did fundraisers for all kinds of shit when we were in Oakland. I never made a goddamn dime, but people certainly made money off me, right? Uh, uh, she was all like, "It's not your birthday." I said, "I know," but I said, we didn't get to celebrate my birthday because I was sick over my birthday." I said, "So we're celebrating together." I said, "We planned this together." She's like, "Oh, but it's his birthday. It's not your birthday." She was like, "Oh, shitty." She's like, "Why do you have to make everything about you all the time?" I'm like, "Oh my God." You know, so it was that year. It was that year that I decided that I didn't give a shit about anybody's fucking birthday anymore, and that I wasn't going to send anybody any fucking birthday cards. You know, yeah. Equinox. My shitty sister. My shitty sister. No, it's funny. It's like, I, when I was in college, I had my main instructor. So there's this event that happens, the show that happens every year called SOFA, Sculptural Objects and Functional Art, and it has two sets of dates because the show travels. It happens in two locations. It happens in at Navy Pier in Chicago, and it happens in New York, right? And every year, you know, everybody will be talking about it because it's not just a show. It's an expo, and it's kind of like it's a conference. It's a professional conference, right? So because all of these galleries, you know, I don't even know if they still do the show or not. I should look into it. But like all at the time, all these galleries would send representation, you know, all the blue chips and, you know, higher end galleries on from all over the place, you know, places like Habitat would have a big display, and you know, just and then they'd have like lectures and things and question and answers and meet and greets and all this stuff. And every year we would talk about like, oh, Sofa's coming up, and you know, Chicago's not that far from Detroit. It's, you know, just a couple hour drive kind of thing. Take the train down. Oh, it's fun. You know, and everybody would always talk about like, oh, who's going down, and you know, you know, people will go down in groups together, and it wasn't something like, it wasn't part of the class, but it was like kind of something that was like expected that you were supposed to go to this thing, and it was, you know, good for your career kind of thing. Well, I wasn't allowed to go, right? I mentioned it a couple times and was told I wasn't allowed. You don't need to be going down to Chicago. You go to Detroit every goddamn day for school. You don't need to go down to Chicago for anything, for an art show, right? It wasn't just an art show. It was a fucking professional conference, right? So I wasn't allowed to go. And you know, meanwhile, my parents paid for them to fucking go wherever with the fucking marching band and all their music and uniforms and all this crap, you know. But I wasn't allowed to go to a professional conference. And finally, it was like, wasn't my senior year. It was well, it took me 5 years because I had to work. So it was my fourth year of school. That should have been my senior year, but it was my second junior year. And Omar and I were engaged. We were newly engaged. And everybody was talking about sofa. Who's going to sofa? Blah, 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 blah. So and so's going to sofa. Oh, well, we're going down together in this group for this, that, this, this talk and that talk and blah, blah, blah. And Tom's like, Larissa, are you going to go this year? And I was like, Tom, I can't go. He's like, you can take a day off work, I'm sure. I said, it's not work. I said, yeah, I need the money from work. I said, it's not what the problem is. I said, my parents won't let me go. And he goes, what do you mean your parents won't let you go? And I said, just what I said. My parents won't let me go. He's like, aren't you engaged to get married? I said, yeah, once I'm married, then maybe I can go do shit. And he was like, oh my God. He's like, well, what would change your parents' mind? I said, nothing. So a couple days later, um, he says, he's like, okay. He's like, anybody who's going to SOFA, I'll give you extra credit if you write a report, a 1-page essay about your experience at SOFA. It was, and then after class, he's like, do you think you'll be able to go now? And I'm like, I don't know. So when I told my parents that I was getting, it was an extra credit, that it was an assignment, then they were like, okay. But then I had to be going with other people, and it wasn't allowed to just be me and Omar. And granted, you have to remember, I'm engaged to marry this man, right? My slutty sister, my slutty sisters are drinking and fucking around with people in the band all over wherever the marching band goes, right? But me, I can't even take a weekend trip to Chicago for a professional conference with my fiance. Yeah. So I was like, oh, well, we're going to go down. I had a couple friends at school. I think they're going down too. We're going to go down there and split the cost, blah, 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 which was a big fucking lie. I mean, they were going, but I didn't go with them. Omar and I went down, and we had a hotel room. We did. Oh my God, we slept in the same bed together in Chicago before we were married. And I had to fucking lie. And my teacher had to make up a fucking assignment, extra credit assignment, so that I could go to this fucking conference. And when I came back, I wrote like 2 paragraphs, and I gave it to him. He's like, "Don't give me this." I'm like, "What?" I mean, because it was. He was like, "Did you have fun?" I said, "Oh," I said, there was this piece there. It was like this giant heart. It was a giant human heart you could walk into. It was enameled. It was a sculpture. It was enameled steel and glass. It was so cool. Just shit like that, I mean, my shitty fucking sister. My shitty fucking sister. They were always so afraid that, I was gonna have sex or something. Oh my God, he's gonna smoke cigarettes. And there's my sister fucking all over the place. And I finally told my dad recently. I said, you know? It was my sister's best friend, her best childhood friend, had a brother who was the same age as me, but was a year behind me in school because I was a year ahead. It wasn't that he was a year behind, it was that I was a year ahead. And he was kind of sweet on me, kind of, sort of. He was really just a hornball. And before we moved from Pennsylvania to Michigan, we went out to dinner with this family because Rachel spent so much time with them, her friend and everything. And her brother John kissed me, right? Like, whatever. We were moving away. Well, when Rachel was in college, because she called me, my parents paid for her to have her own fucking apartment in Pittsburgh, right? She got to have her own fucking apartment, but I wasn't allowed to go to a professional conference. And anyway, John drove from Philadelphia to Pittsburgh to fuck my sister. So I told my dad, happy birthday, Rachel. Yeah. Yep. So there was that. There was that. She called me. She called me afterwards. And it was before Omar and I were married, but I think we were dating. Yeah. We we were engaged. We were engaged because when she had that apartment, we'd gotten engaged when she got that apartment. And she called me, and because I had my own phone line, at least I had that. And she was like, and she told me about it. She's like, John David drove out here to see me, and he spent the night. And she didn't give me gory details or anything. She says he said that kissing me was just like kissing you, and I was like, ew, gross. What a gross thing to say to somebody. Yuck. Yeah, fucking gross. And it was like when I was dating Matt Brown, and he was living with my family because his father beat the shit out of him all the time. And my mom and dad just loved him. He was so handsome. What a nice young man. And he worked so hard. He worked for the city. And he's going to school to be a teacher, just like mom. Right? He gets to live in the house. Blah, blah, blah. Which was fine until he started abusing me. But never in front of them. Right? There were our work and school schedules were aligned such that there were 2 days a week when he and I were in the house together for like 2.5, 3 hours alone, right? Everybody's work schedules, my mom and dad's work schedules, my mom's school schedule, and my dad traveled all the time. So like a lot of time he was out of town. And my sister's, school schedules, whatever. And so, like I said, there were like 2 days a week where I was always home first. And he'd come in and he started making these comments to me. He'd come in and say, because I was cooking, I'd be cooking dinner. This was around the time when my mom was in school and she was like making me cook dinner for the family, um, while I was in school too. And he'd come in and be like, I'd be cooking. And so there'd be the smells in the kitchen. He'd be, I could smell your dirty pussy all the way here at the front door. It's kind of shit he was saying to me. And he'd come in the kitchen and say, what are you cooking? You don't even know how to cook. He'd say shit like that to me all the time. He's like, why don't you make this? Why don't you make that? Like, I'm like, dude, you're not even buying the food here. My parents are buying the food, you know. But he had me so freaked out about my body stinking, about my pussy smelling so bad that he could smell it across the house when he walked in the house. That's what he told me. Over and over and over again. He would tell me I was fat and that he could smell my fat sweat. All this kind of shit he'd say to me. Oh yeah, yeah. When we started dating, you were a lot thinner, shit like that. I was bathing 4 or 5 times a day, and my hair was falling out. And my mom was bitching to me about the water bill and why was I bathing all the time? And can't you see you're making your hair fall out? And like all this shit. Well, it's because I was being abused by her, the boy she thought was so wonderful for me. Oh, she was like, oh, when you guys have children, they're going to be so cute. Blah 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 blah. And then there was more than one occasion. That guy, Matt Brown, I was washing his clothes, and he worked as he reffed ice hockey. He played some ice hockey, but then he reffed ice hockey, like for a youth league, a teen league. Like he played in a. So he had all this gear that stunk, right? Like he'd come home and tell me that my pussy stunk. He had all of this athletic gear that reeked, and I was doing our laundry, right? because I had to do my own laundry. And when he moved into the house, it was like, well, Larissa, he's your boyfriend, and the schedule is that we can't really add another person into the laundry room, so you have to do his laundry with your laundry, right? That's how that worked. And so I had to wash his fucking clothes, and they stunk. The athletic stuff stunk so bad. So bad. All those layers, all that hockey shit stunk. And one time, there was a $5 bill. It was in the laundry, right? And I always emptied my pockets, right? Because I had gotten in trouble one time for leaving a chapstick in my pocket, and I had gotten a lot of trouble for it. So I was, vigilant about emptying my pockets. I knew the $5 bill came out of his pockets, but I took the $5 bill because I was washing his dirt ass clothes. And finders keepers, right? Well, he had left the $5 bill in his pocket to test my honesty. Yeah. And so he told me what a thief I was and I couldn't be trusted. And how could I take that $5 bill when I knew it wasn't mine? I'm like, I'm washing your clothes. Finders keepers. Yeah, that kind of shit. And he raised his fist to me over that $5 bill. He was going to punch me. Yeah, it's not the only time. He raised his fist to me a few times like that. And, I said to him, I finally said to him the last time he did it, I looked at him. I said, go ahead, hit me in my father's house. Like, it would have mattered. My parents would have probably been like, what did she do? Right? Yeah, anyway, my sister messed around with him. I don't know the extent of what all they did. And she's never been the one, she's never told me about it. My mother is the one who told me. My mother's the one who told me that he was messing around with her. Yeah. Yeah. After that, cut off his hair, left his ponytail in my room on my dresser. And I dug a hole and buried it. Before I got married. I'd kept it for a long time. When I got engaged, dug a hole and buried it. It's like, good riddance to you. Good riddance to bad rubbish. No, my sister was into that too. Like I said, she's never owned up to it. She's never owned up to it. My mom's the one who told me about it. Happy birthday, Rachel. Yeah, I guess some people have like nice relationships with their siblings. It'd be nice. I never have. I never have. Anything I ever had, I was never allowed to have like anything of my own. And anything I did have of my own, And my sisters, neither of them were ever punished for anything. They did shitty stuff to me. Mary Beth ruined a bunch of work that I did because I don't know, she was jealous. I don't know. I don't know. She'd come in and draw all over shit that was that I was working on in my bedroom. She ruined homework one time for school. Nope. Never got in trouble for that kind of shit. When we were real little, real little, like Rachel was in a playpen, and my mom used to stick me in there even though I was too old to be in the playpen to play with my sister, right? So she can go do whatever the fuck she wanted around the house, leave me to babysit. I had a strawberry shortcake doll that I'd gotten for my birthday, and Rachel wanted it, and I wouldn't give it to her because it was mine. And she had her own toys. She didn't need my toy. Yeah, so she bit me. And my parents bought her own doll. It wasn't even her birthday. All right. So she always got rewarded for that kind of shit. Par for the course, right? They used to go on and on and on about Rachel and her back injury, but nobody would ever fucking acknowledge the fact that I have a serious back injury. Um, so when we were in high school, Rachel was a cheerleader, and she got dropped. The girls dropped her on purpose, fucked up her back. Girls don't like her. So one of my friends, my best friend, went after the one girl because they danced together, and that's how she knew that they had done it on purpose, that it wasn't an accident, because they were talking about it. Girls were laughing about it at Deborah's stage door dance. My friend like threatened to beat the crap out of her. I got in trouble for it at school. I had no idea Emily did it. I had no idea Emily had said anything to this bitch. Right? Anyway, Rachel has a back injury because of that. Well, I've been in some really bad car accidents, and, being hit head on over 65 miles an hour twice, rear-ended, sideswiped, and pushed into moving traffic on I-75. All of those happening within a few months of each other, and me still having to drive down to school and work and do all this shit. And one night at dinner, I was in so much fucking pain, sitting or having family dinner. Rachel sat to my right at the table. I sat next to my dad. Rachel sat next to me, and then there was my mom at the end, and then my sister Mary sat on the other side. And if we had any guests, they sat on the other side. And we had a guest that night, and Rachel was making fun of me, saying and everybody was laughing about how Larissa can't drive. She's such a bad driver. Larissa can't drive. She can't do anything right, And I was in so much fucking pain. And I punched her in the arm. Yeah. But I got in trouble for that too. She was making a joke, making fun of the fact that I'd almost been killed. Happy birthday, Rachel. Danny and Riley, if you wonder why I'm not a big fan of your mother, now you've heard these stories. And this is why I haven't been allowed to be in your life, so that you didn't know the truth. Right? You didn't hear all this stuff. They could lie to you about all this shit. Mm-hmm. Anyway. That's just some things. Not even everything. So anyway, today, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do today. Laundry. Although I should just go into the gallery today because I can. Anyway. Get up here. I'll make a fucking quiche. Once I get the quiche into the oven, then I can go take a shower, huh? Oh, current events. See a picture this morning of President Trump hugging Charlie Kirk's widow. Oh my God, disgusting. Disgusting. Wonder if he grabbed her by the pussy.